My goodness, bear with me 2 secs. My goodness, what am I doing? Ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday, the 28th of October. It's Thursday, 28th October 2021. Almost coming to November. 3 more days coming to November. Don't forget, the clocks are going back. The clocks are going back on Sunday, ladies and gents. I'm coming back my Christianity or Fortean ways. It's a brand new edition on Proclamation News and Gatherence. A brand new edition. Read all about it. Brand new edition of Proclamation News and Gatherence. We're on Castbox, Podcast, Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. We're on YouTube. We're here, there, and everywhere. Absolute populism. People staying observed and both preserved. You're part of the aristocracy social elite. How we'd like to shape up Britain. Obviously, having usually some of you guys coming through as well, with critical thinkers, critical listeners, like to make implementations adjacent to our current climate. You know, we're trying to go back organic green, keeping your place tidy, recycling, industrialisation pollution, aqua politics pollution, keeping the oceans clean, not putting sewage in the oceans. Everyone supporting it. Absolutely phenomenal. You know, you go north of Broad, you see waste thrown overboard on the boats. You know, it's polluting our oceans, rivers, lakes. You know, we need to think theoretically. You go to you know, I've got Colchester Country Park near me. You might have country parks near you. You go over there with your children or youth for today, just throwing their beer cans, throwing their sweet wrappers all in the lake and river, polluting our environment. Absolutely, ladies and gents. Anyway, I'll come back with my Christianity or Fortean ways. We start off with our first read of day 9, Moses. Exodus 3:10. I'm sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. I wonder how many times Moses must have thought, why on earth am I spending time doing this with my life? What is the point? Moses' life split into 3 equal portions. After 40 years of receiving the best education the world had to offer, Moses became for further 40 years the best educated and well-read shepherd the world has ever seen. Only when he reaches 80 years old, or you could say past his sell-by date, does he learn of his primary call from God for the next 40 years. He goes on to fulfill his calling superbly and inevitably uses many of the skills he learned in the classroom of Egypt and the pastures of Midian, skills that enabled him, with God's help, to become a great leader. However, when he was learning them, little did he realize what God had in mind. We mortals live in time, but God is eternal. We need to be constantly aware of that. Don't ever think that you are wasting your time. However, menial the task to which God has called you, whatever God is teaching you, wherever you are learning it. Do your best and trust that one day God will put your new skills to good use for the United Kingdom, for his kingdom, sorry. He can use whatever you learn. Remember, he knows what skills you need because he knows what he has in mind for you. See, you come back methodically every single day. You work hard every single day to better yourself. I repeat, to better your aspirations. Everyone that's following the same gospel as all his disciples did, get given a life chance because they make that change. They made sacrifice to better their well-being, to better their aspiration life. So what I say is, if you try something, they say no. If you try to become a politician, perhaps, they say no. If you try and become a manager of a hotel or a manager of any job you want to go for, and they say no. Work harder, be methodical, do the same again. No means next one. You wasn't ready. Next one. Keep working hard. Next one. You will get it. Keep working methodical. Make sure your voice gets heard. Next one. Keep working hard. Keep pushing hard to get where you want to get in life. Next one. That's what no means. Doesn't mean no as in you're no good. It just means you wasn't ready at that time. Someone else took your opportunity, so you can make that change to be better who you are. Absolutely, ladies and gents. I could have been a cancer. I've got all the cognitive skills to become a phenomenal local cancer. But the only way I think they said no is because my life chances I've been dealt with before what I'm jumping straight in the deep end with now. I was part of a market society where humanity's become vulnerable. You put yourself inside a circus and the outsider cheering you on or going, look at him, making fun of my cognitive skills. But we have to do things to get a place in life, to look after our well-being, our wealth and our health. Absolutely. But anyway, it's time to make that change. If I can do it, you can do it. We can do it together. Anyway, before entering the roads, think safety, think first. Plan the destination. Make sure you've got plenty sufficient fuel on board to go from A to B. Bear in mind there could be weather incident, lane closed, road closed, congestion, roadworks, or incidents. So you need to put plenty sufficient fuel on board. Checking your PSI limits, making sure you've got enough PSI in the tyres, make sure your tyres are not bulged, checking your engine oil, water coolant tank are topped up to maximum level. Check your centre mirror, wing mirror before turning, acting in a safe, sufficient direction of choice, making sure motorcycles or cars are not overtaken. Checking over your left or right, no, your right shoulder. Always check over your right shoulder just as you're turning. If you're going to turn or left, if you're going to go left, look over your left shoulder. Make sure there's no one behind you as you turn, acting to the safe, sufficient direction of choice. Check for further police actions. If he says pull over, or slow down. Check further speed limits, police speed cameras. Check for roadworks, making sure there's not pedestrians or road workers on the road, or about to walk up behind a harassed fence. Perhaps be careful. To be vigilant in your vehicle. Keep your eyes peeled. Do not eat while you're at the wheel. Do not answer the phone while you're driving your car. Think safety. Think first. I'm not thinking of me, I'm thinking of all the occupants inside the UK. Am I being selfish? Am I a selfish person? I don't drive. Why should I care about X, Y, and Z? I should go, I couldn't care if you got hit by a bus. But what sort of person would I be if I said I couldn't care if you get hit by a bus? I wouldn't be humane, would I? I'd be inhumane. The thing is, I care about society. And I want society to have belief in me, how much I care for democracy. Not just myself, for you. I report things where an dear old lady could fall down a manhole. I report bollards that could fall over and crush someone's baby, or your nan, or your granddad, or your auntie. Out of goodness of my heart. I was in Clacton-on-Sea yesterday in Essex. I was born and raised around that area, around Tendon sort of area. And my parents go shopping across the road. There's people been fly tipping. I'm trying to turn Essex organic green, trying to stop people fly tipping. So I'll report anything that's making a disturbance to the community. What's the point of us going build back better if our councils are not doing their job? I'm not even from Clacton, but I'm still doing a council's job here, there, and everywhere. I will report anything I see to turn back greener, our environment greener. Absolutely. I want to be elected. I deserve to be elected. I worked hard, very, very hard. I will get my name heard. I will get my name mentioned, and I will be getting elected next year because I will be working very, very hard. I'll keep pushing. I'll keep pushing on with the council to get things sorted because it's the way I am. Thank you very much, ladies and gents. Anyway, going on to the incidents inside the UK. In Suffolk today, A14. Rolled over vehicle, lanes closed, recovery work, congestion to queuing traffic. One lane closed and queuing traffic due to rolled over van and recovery work on A14 both ways between junction 56 and A137. Wested interchange and junction 55 A12. Copdock interchange, congestion to back across the Orwell Bridge. Delays also affecting routes through Ipswich. 28th October at 20 past 10 a.m. was reported. In Colchester, A20 queuing traffic near A20 eastbound at B1018 Galleys Corner. It was reported 11:41 a.m. I will make my parents proud of me, and I will get where I need to get in life to support our community. Absolutely, because I work hard and methodical every day, and I believe in myself. If I don't give it next time, it'll be next one. If it ain't next one, it'll be next one, because I can come back till I get elected. That's the way I work. A414, queuing traffic, congestion in the construction area. Travel time is queuing traffic on A414. Gascoigne Way at A119 Ware Road. Congestion to almost back to the Harting Fordbury turn-off. Delays are also affecting routes through Hertford. In the construction, a lane closure is in place. Travel time is around 15 minutes. 10:15 a.m. first reported. West of London, we've got a couple more incidents and moving on, ladies and gents. We can look at Silscow and Southend. M25, queuing traffic heavier than normal. Queuing traffic heavier than normal on M25 anti-clockwise from junction 3 to M20. Swanley interchange to junction 1A A206 Dartford tunnels. 8:58 a.m. reported today. South London and Croydon, B275 partially blocked accident, slow traffic due to accident on B275 Denham Avenue both ways at Leighton Crescent. 9:42 a.m. Over at Wembley, we're going to check A4020 traffic signal failure, approach with care on A4020 Cross Street at Vine Street. Approach with care. At 5:10 a.m. reported yesterday. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. It's Proclamation News from Gatherence, coming back with a brand new edition with the prodigious, the prominent ProfessorJohnson at PNG. I found this wondrous name about 4 years ago. It used to be paternalistic national news before, and we're just building back better, turning back greener. We're going to build back better. You can listen to why in a minute. Southend care home workers avoids prisons after sexually assaulting a string of women. This is horrific, absolutely horrific. He gave them unwanted attention, including kissing and hugs. This is shocking. A care home worker from Southend has avoided prison despite having committed a string of sexual assaults on women. Jonathan Reyes admitted 7 counts of sexual assault and following incidents in 2019 in Southend-on-Sea area. The 54-year-old of Altham Road gave the women constant unwanted attention, which left them feeling anxious and uncomfortable. Basden Crown Court heard on October the 14th. Claire Hooper, prosecuting, told the court it was deeply unpleasant and uncomfortable. It made them feel like they couldn't speak out. Anxiety was caused by a constant unwanted attention. Aside from a caution from common assault in 2011, he has no previous convictions. The court also heard of incidents where Reyes would grab the victim's waist and an incident where he fell back and the victim fell into him and he kissed her. Mitigating, John Cordell told the court that Reyes had been terrified of the case, but he admits this was wrongdoing. Judge Samantha Lee also told the court that Reyes had stroked one of the victim's legs. She said another was wanted attention by defendant towards a woman, which was a hug and grabbing her around the waist. This is a very, very worrying, isn't it? There are low-level incidents, but nevertheless, they were deeply unpleasant for the ladies concerned. He was given 23 months in prison, suspended for 24 months. He must also complete a Horizon program for men considered at risk of future offending, rehabilitation, and 100 hours of unpaid work. They should give him unpaid work for the rest of his life. This is the thing. They need volunteers to go and clean up stuff. Why don't you give him some unpaid work for the rest of his life? Why not? He's committed assault. Why are they being so soft on these people? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a short break. We're going to have a quick short break, only quickly, and I'll be back giving you what's ahead. Let's see what lies ahead, shall we? The hung Parliament. We'll see what this is about. I'm just going to only a short break.
This hung Parliament isn't working for you. Why would it? They've been arguing amongst themselves for 3 long years. Now they're arguing about arguing. Arguing just for the sake of it. And their arguments have crept into your life, crept into your work, crept into your family. Their endless arguments have frozen our country, stopped us focusing on the things that really matter. You matter. Your vote matters. With your vote, you decide. Do you stop the arguing or let it carry on? End the argument.
What's the day today?
Stop the chaos. Vote Conservative. Get Brexit done. Get all of this done. And move on. Vote Conservative on Thursday. Get Brexit done.
Bear with me, guys. I'll be back. We may just putting some of these news articles out on Twitter so people can follow, find out what's going on in the incidents today. We'll see what's going on now. Budget day with Conservatives. Rishi Sunak and Oliver Dowden, party chairman. They're going to give you some feedback. Think. Here we go.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this exclusive event, which is being live streamed on Twitter. And this is a really important moment. This is the Chancellor's very first broadcast interview since he was standing up in the chamber just a few hours ago with that brilliant budget. But ladies and gentlemen, there's no such thing as a free lunch. So I can't see it, but hopefully you can see underneath the screen. There's a link here, and if you like what you're seeing tonight, you like what you saw in the budget, hopefully you like both, then please click on the link and make a donation. And more than that, we're going to incentivize you with a really important prize. We're going to have a raffle. Everyone who donates will be able to win a copy of the Red Book, but better than that, I'm going to ask the Chancellor now to sign this live. So over to you, Chancellor, to do the signature.
Perfect. There you go.
There we are. Excellent. So thank you very much for that. And this is to be won this evening. One of you will win a copy of that. So how are we going to do this evening? It's going to be a mixture of me talking to the Chancellor, but most importantly, taking your questions and getting your answers directly from the Chancellor. Now, the way you can contribute, many of people have done so already, but if you've got another questions we're going through, just keep them coming in on #AskRishi. So without further ado, I'm absolutely delighted to have here my good friend, Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rishi Sunak. I thought I'd just begin by asking you, and in a past life I've had experience of working with David Cameron and George Osborne on budgets. How do you go from the blank sheet of paper to the red book? Talk us through your process of developing a budget.
Well, as you know, Oliver, because you've done it multiple times before, it takes some months. So we've been thinking about this for the best part of half a year. And so it's quite hard to know exactly what the circumstances will be at the time. And you may also have to adjust for that. But fundamentally, we know what we want to achieve over this Parliament. We know what we were elected to do. We know the promises that the Prime Minister made from the steps of Downing Street and in the campaign. And the job of this budget was to deliver on all of those, because this budget also contains something called a spending review when we set out all the departments' budgets for the rest of the Parliament. And because we've been very clear about more hospitals, more nurses, more police officers, levelling up across the country, we had a pretty good template for what we needed to do. And then on the budget side of things, that's where you have to be a little bit more timely. So there are some reforms that we've been working on for a long time, like our reforms to alcohol duty or air passenger duty, taking advantage of some of the freedoms that we now have, having left the EU, that we wanted to implement. But then also we want to react to circumstances as well and make sure that it is a budget that meets the moment. And you saw that when we cut taxes for the lowest paid people today in quite a significant way. That's us delivering conservative values. And ultimately, it's a budget that delivers a stronger economy for the British people.
Well, we're going to get into some of that detail in a minute, but I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions about your build-up specifically. You've been quite generous. You've given us a few insights with photographs as we do that. And now I've been briefed on this. This isn't my area of expertise, but you gave us a little glimpse of the sliders, and before that we've seen the cashmere hoodie. I'm hoping maybe the next trend is going to be cords, and finally I can say to my wife I'm on trend. But go on, give us an insight. What's next?
Gosh, what is next? So I quite like casual dressing when I'm not wearing this, and I always have. So I quite like wearing tracksuits and casual clothes and sweatshirts and hoodies when I'm not doing this, and sometimes they get photographed. But I can't. Gosh, I'm not setting out to set any new trends, so I can't tell you what the next thing is.
I was hoping to invest in the next trend. And before we get to Richard and Judy, I'm just going to mention two names. Betsy and Nova. Now, those of you who don't know, Betsy's my dog. Johnson and I have lots of conversations all the time, mostly on very serious matters of politics and government, but occasionally we talk about dogs. So I've got to ask you, how's it going?
Well, first of all, we didn't take your advice, which was to not...
Don't let people know I advised you against this. I'd be very unpopular.
No, so I lost that battle with my wife and two girls. I did try and invoke your experience, but it didn't help. All those calls that we've had when I've been calling you at odd times and you're outside in the pouring rain, walking Betsy
with the dog.
Yeah, exactly. So I was saying, look, that's what we're going to have to do. No, it's going okay. She's a delight, but she's a puppy, so it's a lot of work. She prefers Yorkshire to the Downing Street flat, understandably, and she's growing very quickly. But the kids love her. I secretly love her.
And is she making friends with Dylan?
And she does enjoy playing with Dylan in the garden in Downing Street. When she first arrived, she was a little bit intimidated because he's a very energetic dog. Yes. But she's a Labrador, so she's now grown to be about twice his size. So that helps. Excellent. And we need to organise a play date with Betsy soon.
Yes, she would absolutely love it. And I was just thinking, I saw you as you came into the chamber. I was sat on the bench, and just what was going through your mind just as you're about to walk into the chamber to deliver that budget? Somebody actually asked, did you have a sort of motivational track going through your head? Just talk me through your state of mind, because I'm always still very intimidated standing up in the chamber. It's a big moment for any politician, such a historic thing. But to do it as a Chancellor of the Exchequer, to deliver a budget that's going to affect millions of people's lives up and down the country. What's going through your head on that?
No, well, I mean, it's a nervous time. There's no point pretending otherwise. I mean, slightly unusually for a chancellor, this is the third budget I've had to do in 18 months, and we've done a bunch of mini budgets in between. So you think I'd have enough practice by now. But to your point, you can't ever really completely you doing something that, as you said, Oliver, impacts absolutely everybody, and it's quite a responsibility. And when I'm walking in, I'm focused on the speech ultimately, because it's a long speech, and you want to make sure that you don't fluff it up, and you want to make sure the opening you get right. So I'm really just thinking about that and thinking about the key messages that I really need to emphasise. And so I'm sitting there, not really listening to much of PMQs. So if you saw me today, you'd see I'm just glazing that out and just focusing on the speech, and then the boring things about making sure you have a glass of water ready for you, because you need to get through almost an hour's worth of talking. But yeah, no, it's a nerve-wracking time. When I first did my first budget a year and a bit ago, I'd only had the job 3 weeks, so that was incredibly nerve-wracking. And it's the only time my wife has come to see me do anything, and she was there that first time for a bit of encouragement and support, which was not there today. So I was on my own, but hopefully it was all right.
And I know you're a teetotaler. You're not going to do what Ken did with whiskey or whatever else and previous chancellors. Not tempted to have something to.
No, I don't know what the rules are, because you're allowed alcohol when you do these budget speeches, which, as you said, for me as a teetotaler doesn't help. I'm not entirely sure if you're allowed other soft drinks. I've never asked the question other than water. And it's slightly ironically, because a big part of what we did today was to reform our alcohol duties regime, which is hopelessly out of date. We first put the regime in place during the Civil War, and now that we've left the EU, we have the freedom to have a much more rational system that's simpler, that's fairer, and actually healthier, that supports modern drinking habits and supports public health and supports craft brewers of cider, for example, and helps our pubs. So we were able to do all of that, but as you said, a bit ironic as a teetotal chancellor.
Well, this is one of the things that really intrigued me about the budget, and I thought it was a great measure recognising the value of our community pubs by actually having a separate lower rate for the draft beer, the stuff.
Still here, ladies and gents.
The taps. I'm a big fan of real ale myself. Talk me through how that specific measure is going to work and how that's going to help us.
Yeah, well, we've had lots of our backbench colleagues, actually Conservatives, who, just like you, are champions for their local community pubs, because we as Conservative understand the importance of community. We know a lot of community life centres around pubs, and 75% of all the alcohol consumed in community pubs is on draft. So this was a good way to support them. They've had a tough time, not just in the last 2 years, but leading up to coronavirus as well. And many colleagues have been campaigning for a lower rate of duty for pubs relative to what people pay in the supermarket. The EU doesn't allow you to do that, but now that we've left, we were able to put in place this draft relief. It's going to mean 5% lower duty rates for beer and cider on tap in pubs when it gets implemented in a little while, and hopefully it will be warmly welcomed.
Well, I've been to a pub this afternoon. I hasten to say I just had a couple of sips of beer, tempting as it was, but a very warm welcome there, and I think it'll be cheered up and down the country. I've obviously, as party chairman, I've been getting questions myself. I'm actually going to direct a few of these to you. And one big theme that's come through quite a lot is, what are your values? Is this really a Conservative budget? How are you expressing our Conservative values through this budget?
Well, the simple answer to that is to point people to the peroration, the end of my speech, and that's probably the clearest expression of my values. Now, obviously, I've had to be Chancellor during quite a difficult time.
I want to just stop this before we move on. We're going to look at budget 2021 to 2022. I'm not even going to open the segment to read. I'm just going to think, outside the box. With those shop prices, I saw, petrol price we saw. It's come up to Christmas. We also know that shops, people can be panic buying. So, it's going to be hard to get your Christmas stuff. If you haven't already started your Christmas shopping, it's going to be very, very hard to get out of there and start getting everything you need for the Christmas month. So I suggest you start ordering things offline. I'm trying to do everything in my willpower, in my strength, in my capabilities to become the best son, the best father to my family, my children, my family. We all are. We all try and do everything we can. This is what I do methodically every day. It's about time someone looked over my shoulder and went, actually, tapped me on the shoulder and said, actually, you're doing a good job. You're trying to give people some mental stability, something to work off. And I do give out some really good cognitive skills, how to better your lifestyle, make change and adaptations to give you better opportunities within United Kingdom. As a constituent, conservative, valuable member to the society, as you can see, I do try and work hard throughout our community, try and provide safety for our elders, youngsters, and giving youth of today good guidance not to carry weapons, trying to influence, reoffenders not to go out and go and pick up a sharp object. How childish is that, rather than going through the realms of sport where it could be physical activities, MMA or boxing or, things I've already done. All my cognitive skills that I've already used to become an adequate person I am today. I'm so glad I lived the life I lived. I could have done with some adaptations for my health factor or whatever, but it doesn't matter. I'm here today. I'm telling you the story. I'm trying to help still build back better for not just myself, everyone in United Kingdom. Doesn't matter what culture you are. Doesn't matter what religion you are. Stick to your religion. Become a good community standard of a human being. Doesn't matter what race, culture, wherever you're from. You are accepted if you stick by the guidelines. Just try and block negativity out. I know there are some fascist xenophobia, racist people come out with marks, but you could try and ignore it. I've had them years of growing up. My mum's coloured, so I live amongst the multiculturalism within spirit, within mind, within soul and heart and blood. I live with all the different ethnicities built up in myself. So I know what you're going through. I know what you're struggling with. Don't feel the guilt. Don't feel the shame. You've got to try and ignore it and be prosperous, where only prosperity matters. You got, what goes in one ear, let it come out the other. Just think, yeah, I'm better than you. Say what you want. It's not hurt me. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. That is a true saying. You need to think of your well-being. Anyway, looking at the budget, I even opened it up. But looking at, taxes are soaring. I mean, minimum wage is rising, but you're going to be getting high tax bracket, so it's going to be about the same. It's going to equal it out to probably about the same pay bracket, if not probably a little bit less. Probably, maybe, I don't know, because you've got shopping prices going up as well on top of your tax, emergency tax through the COVID payment. For the COVID, through people being out of work, all that kind of stuff. So you're going to get whipped which way, anyway, some way you're going to get whipped with your price cut of your wage. Either way, you're going to get stung. So looking at 2021, 22 as we're moving on to the next year, better wages, higher price bracket, hyperinflation of shopping, hyperinflation of petrol. You're going to be getting stung left, right, and centre. So looking at 2022, it's still going to be a public austerity. People are still going to be struggling financially. People are still going to be struggling for Christmas, birthdays. It's not all as Whistler and Dixie as it's led out to be. You've got energy bills soaring for the roof. You've got energy companies going to go bust. So you're going to be getting threats all the time off your energy companies as well. But long as you're shown to paying something, you're not going to be getting cut off. So make sure you're good community standard, stay up to date with your bills. I've got a bit of a predicament with my situation, my landlord and me. I need something fixed, and my windows come up to window months. I'm going to have the water coming through my window. I need it fixed. So, I'm making an adaptation to my lifestyle till something gets looked at. Anyway, I'm being professional as the landlord is. That's all I can do, isn't it? Be professional, Exactly all we can do. Let's play ball. You want to play ball? Let's play ball. Simple as that. I pass, you pass. That's how it works. You use your own cognitive skills to work that one out, but I'm not telling you what is what and how to do it. But anyway, budget 2021. Millions will be worse off in 2022, says IFS. There you go. Millions of people are set to be worse off next year, aiming spiralling costs and tax rises, says an economic think tank. Wow, how did I know that? I looks like I'm a genius. I this thing about me. The Institute for the Fiscal Studies, the IFS, said that inflation and higher taxes on incomes would negate small wage increase for middle earners. Sometimes I think I'm like this mad scientist. When I say I'm the prodigious, the professor, I mean, as soon as I read the context after what I just said, it's pretty much spelled it out in such a characteristic ways. What I, literally to alliterate a mirror image of what I just said. Low income households will also feel real pain as the cost of living is set to increase faster than benefit payments, it said. The Chancellor acknowledged in his budget that families are under strain. Paul Johnson, director of the IFS, said that millions will be worse off in the short term as a result of soaring costs. On Wednesday, the Independent Office for Budget Responsibility, OBR, warned that the cost of living could rise at its fastest rate for over 30 years. Its latest forecast predicted that inflation, which measures the change in the cost of living over time, is set up to jump 3.1% to an average of 4% in 2022. The Chancellor, Fishy, his name sounds like is related to Fishy, Rishi Sunak. I heard I don't know. We see, listen to James O'Brien earlier. Exactly how he pronounced it. He doesn't like conservatives very much. He doesn't like left-wing politics very much. But I do like James O'Brien. I am a very, very good, strong conservative supporter. But I do like James O'Brien. He's an intelligent man. He knows his politics. He reads it every day, such as myself. He does make a few mistakes. I've heard 13-year-old make him look shambolic over the radio, but we can't know everything. We all make mistakes in life. He had a 13-year-old said, Joe, are you counting buttons? You might have 4,000 buttons you've got to count, and you put lines, 4 lines and one through like a cross. He said to James O'Brien, what is that called? The 13-year-old knew what it was. He's just trying to catch him out. It's called a math auditor. And James O'Brien didn't know the answer, and the 13-year-old made him look rather silly. It's quite funny, quite comical, but it's easy done, isn't it? If you know something and you're not educated in that area, anyone can pull the wool over your eyes. I don't know everything, believe me. The Chancellor said it was because of increased demand for energy and supply chain issues as economics and factories recover from coronavirus curves. Disposable incomes won't recover before 2023, changing household income after taxes and price rises. But the OBR pointed out that once rising prices and rising taxes are taken into account, average household incomes are set to fall next year and won't recover before 2023. In its analysis of Chancellor Rishi Sunak's record budget of 2021, the IFS described the Chancellor's delivery as upbeat. But Mr. Johnson added, unfortunately for him and for us, the outlook for living standards does not match his upbeat tone. Over the next few years, increase of income tax and national insurance, paired with rising household bills, will mean very slow growth in living standards, he said. The new IFS analyst suggests that over the next year, middle earners on about 25,000 will find the pre-tax pay just about outspaces pay rises. But once extra income tax rises are due, their take-home pay will fall out by 1% or £180 per year after accounting for inflation. That comes after a already tough decade for households, the IFS has said. Had average earnings kept pace with the trends seen before the financial crisis in 2008, they would have been 40% higher, its research has found. Mr. Sunak defended his budget, calling BBC Breakfast that it had cut taxes for millions of the lowest paid. On Wednesday, the Chancellor announced that the universal credit taper rate will be cut by 8% no later than the 1st of December, so that instead of losing 63 pence of benefit for every £1 earned above the work allowance, the amount will be reduced to 55 pence. The national living wage will increase next year by 6.6% to £9.50 an hour. Mr. Sunak added that it was his job to be concerned about inflation and his new fiscal rules, how we build back up resilience. But Paul Johnson said that pay rises meant that real pain would now be felt as low-income households, which it describes as working full-time and earning a national living wage, wait for their incomes to catch up. For some in work, that may never happen, he said. We're going to look at an analysis by Kevin Peachy, the personal finance correspondent. The high drama ahead, he says. After the political theatre of the budget, experts spend the following night and day backstage working on the impact of household finances. The answer to that question, as always, depends on your stage and circumstances in life. If you are very low paid and in work, the budget had some comforting news for you, such as the minimum wage rises and universal credit changes, although that won't happen immediately. In contrast, middle earners and those out of work are facing a more worrying squeeze. Pensioners concerned about hefty rises in bills to heat their homes and are feeling a bit forgotten. For everyone, the next act is all about the cost of living. If prices rise at the top end of forecasts, then millions of people's financial situation could become quite a drama, he says. Setting out his budget on Wednesday, Mr. Sunak said it's marked a new age of optimism, announcing across the board spending increases for government departments. But the fiscal event has also taken UK's current tax burden to the highest level since 1950s. Mr. Sunak described corrective action as necessary in order to pay back huge sums of money borrowed during the pandemic to fund support programmes such as the furlough scheme. But Mr. Johnson told BBC Radio 4's Today's programme what he's done is use the pandemic as a cover for what I think was probably necessary, a big increase in NHS spending being funded by the increase of national insurance contributions and doing some of the very big cuts we've seen to his justice, further education and school systems over the last decade. We're crying out for medical staff, crying out for more police. The least we can do is put their wage back up, you know. We need them. We need our safety is paramount. We need our health is paramount. We need to pay these ethical personnel a decent pay bracket. They're in a great occupation to save our lives, to give us the safety that we deserve as humanities. They deserve a good pay increase. That's all I can say. I'm not fully affiliated in the deep of the political spectrum, although I'm partly to do with it, although I'm partly to shape up Britain. I have no say in the wage bracket. All I can do is try and influence my opinion and express it across. Hopefully they can get support in the right places to be needed. I think everyone else can give them the benefit of the doubt. They're putting their life at risk day in, day out to help save the community. I'm strongly with supporting the NHS and the police and the fire brigade as well. You know, these authorities, we need them day in, day out to help us. The car instance, you see fire brigade there all the time, cutting people, babies out of the car, mothers, even the fires that they have to get involved in. Anyway, he pointed to the fact that OBR has also reduced its estimate of the long-term scaring effect of COVID-19 on the economy from 3% to 2%. He suggested that Johnson might hope to undo tax rises in the future. Mr. Johnson also described the stagnation in living standards as a very important political point in a later interview with the BBC. If we're not getting better over time, we're not going to feel so happy with the status quo, he said. BBC News has approached and the Treasury for the moment. Thank you ever so much, everyone listening to Proclamation News and Gatherence. I've been going for some time, going for some years. You're probably thinking, I don't know what you're thinking about me, really, but I enjoy it. That's all I can say. We're going to look at Wembley Park, the killings of Danielle Hussein, jailed for life, murdering the sisters. So it's shocking news. The bodies of Bibba Henry and Nicole Smallman were found entwined in undergrowth. The psychomotor state of these metropolitan lunatic asylums been let out on day release. Why was they not in there for life beforehand, before making these horrific attacks? And again, it's knife crime. More knife crime. I read it day in, day out, don't I? It's just, when are we going to say we need to stop selling them on shop floors. It's quite simple. I put it there on a dotted line. Is it been supported or not? I don't think so. It needs to be. Danielle Hussein, 19, repeatedly stabbed Bibba Henry, 46, and Nicole Smallman, 27, at Friant Country Park in Wembley, northwest London, on the 6th of June. He killed them after a birthday party in a suspended sacrifice he claimed he believed would give him a lottery win. Their bodies were found by Miss Smallman's boyfriend the day after they had been reported missing to police. The defendant, who was convicted of 2 counts of murder at the Old Bailey trial in July, sat faced away from the court as he was sentenced. It's just shocking, isn't it? Speaking outside court, the sister's mother, Mina Smallman, said justice had been done for her beautiful girls. On their killer, she said, he's just an obnoxious human being. He is a broken human being who, if he had not been caught, for other families may have been suffering what we have. Jurors have now heard how the teenager embarked a campaign of vengeance against random women. Hussein apparently thought that he's sacrificed 6 women. This would help him win a Mega Millions super jackpot lottery prize of 321 million. Hussein stabbed Miss Henry 8 times before slashing Miss Smallman 28 times as she fought back. He then dragged the bodies into bushes. Miss Smallman's boyfriend, Adam Stone, told the court how he screamed and fell to her knees. Upon finding them 36 hours later, lying top to toe and intertwined. Sentencing Hussein from Blackheath in South East London, Miss Justice Whipple said he had dragged the bodies away and posed them in an embrace to defy them in death. She said, "You have found these 2 women. You were a stranger to them. You surprised them. You terrified them, and you killed them. You committed these vicious attacks, and you did it to kill. You did it for money and a misguided pursuit of power." The judge said the lives of the victims, loved ones, and been shattered. At the Old Bailey, Hussein wasn't in court 7 of the Old Bailey today. Instead, he watched proceedings on a video link from Belmarsh Prison, dressed in a grey tracksuit. The court heard he couldn't attend for COVID-related reasons at the jail. At the time of the sentencing hearing, Hussein stared straight ahead, but soon assumed a series of postures, including crouching with his feet up on a chair. And when the judge, Mr. Justice Whipple, addressed him directly, he deliberately moved his chair around so he could only be seen in profile. In court, Mina Smallman, the mother of Bibba Henry, and Nicole Smallman maintained a dignified silence throughout and ignored Hussein's antics. On Tuesday, Mina Smallman dismissed an apology from the Metropolitan Police after a forced response to her daughter's disappearance was found to be below standards. A report by the Independent Office for Police Conduct, the IOPC, said that an inspector closed the police logs after receiving information about the sisters, possibly whereabouts from a family member, but the information was inaccurately recorded by a communications supervisor. This meant that missing persons injuries for both women were not progressed properly. In addition, 2 police constables have been charged with misconduct in public office. They allegedly took non-official and inappropriate photographs of the crime scenes before sharing them on WhatsApp and are due to enter a plea next week. Home Secretary Priti Patel, in a statement on Thursday, that it's right that questions were being asked of the Met Police right now with regard to searches for missing people in the wake of the case. Ms Patel said that the government was determined to tackle the apparent issue of violence against women and girls, and said the case of murdered sisters was terrible and tragic. Speaking after sentencing, Detective Inspector Marie Green said, "Daniel Hussein is a dangerous, arrogant and violent individual who, from the outset, has shown no remorse or acceptance of his actions. This has been a shocking, chilling case, and I know the investigation will stay with all those involved for a long time to come." It's quite horrific, isn't it? It is horrific. I couldn't actually understand why he would come to the realms of wanting to inflict pain on a woman. I don't really know, especially such violence with a, knife crime, killing. We want to unleash Britain's potential, rather than sitting out there being a critical idiot. I'm not saying you guys are, but there might be one or two listeners that come through who think, what's he talking about? He's talking about politics. Well, why don't you get yourself involved? What can you do to make change in your environment? We try to turn things organic green. Why don't you just get yourself involved? I mean, they're trying to invest money. You've got a bit of money. Why don't you be part of donation to invest money into your political government? Because they're investing money in schools, strengthening NHS, strengthening our economy. I'm giving guidance how to better your aspirations. Let's get a strong economy, isn't it? You can get better skills than I'm learning. Everything I'm giving, providing, saying, you can implement them into your own lifestyle to make change to better your lifestyle. Absolutely. Why don't you get involved in your party's manifesto and get involved? Become a like-minded political correspondent. Make change to your community. Become campaigning with your political spectrum. Why not? Why wouldn't you get your voice, your opinion heard? What's affecting your children's upbringing? What's affecting your grandchildren's upbringing? What's affecting your brother, your sister, his upbringing? Is you not playing by the rules, perhaps? Maybe you're inflicting sin. Maybe you're part of, the alcoholism, the narcotics, the parties, antisocial behaviour that's affecting the well-being of your children's upbringing. Make that change. Make that change. Would you take your children into the war zone amongst sin of alcoholism or narcotics? Would you do that? Would you, really, theoretically, would you do that? Would you take, there's a festival on down, I don't know, wherever you want, Glastonbury Festival, say, for instance. Would you take your children in the middle of the shambolic, we're trying to go organic green, these festivals, people throw litter, they pee everywhere, they just dilute the greenness of the country farms or parks or wherever they have these festivals. You're going to go there and be part of that process. We're affecting our environment, and are you part of it? That's what you need to ask yourself. And would you take your children to be part of it? To say that's okay to do. Let's have a festival over a nice green field. Spill beer, intoxicate ourselves. We and human feces everywhere. No one's got no thought when they've got alcoholism in their body. Really have not got no thought when they've got alcoholism in their body. Would you take your children to one? That's what I'd like to know. Would you take your children to a festival? That is what I want to know. Let's talk about the mental stability of parenting. That's what we need to talk about, really, because you do see children at these festivals. You do see parents, unfit parents, take their children to festivals. Are you one of them? Are you one of those people? Let's make responsibilities, and are you responsible enough? Ladies and gents, Proclamation news and Gatherence. Well, all devastated by the senseless death of our much loved friend and colleague, Sir David Amess MP, one of the nicest and most charming people you can meet, killed doing the job he loved, serving his constituents. A life tragedy has ended. His family and loved ones are all in our thoughts and prayers. Oliver Dowden, the chairman of the Conservative Party. You've heard all our politicians talk about it. You hear me talk about it, giving my condolences out to the family. Doing the job he loved, serving the community he loved. It's like where I'm living. I'm not quite near my parents, but still in the same sort of surroundings where my niece and nephew can be brought up in, where my children might come in years to come. This can be built as a city, so there's going to be more opportunities. There's going to be more investing into capital gain in where I am for children's better life chances. Someday in their life of growing up, they might work in the city. If it's, whatever, they could be medical staff, they could be a professional football player, they could be whatever, They could be a doctor. They could be anything. They could be working, get sent out to their Colchester, which is going to be a city soon. When more people, wider spectrum, need help. So anyway, we work on safer streets. Get involved with your political party. You get people like-minded, critical thinkers like yourself. You need to know what's going on in your community. Join a community thing where you can find out what's going on. That's what I say. I mean, I'll read a lot of local news. I'll find out what's going on, what we're going to face effect in years to come. Like the public austerity, 21, 22 is going to be pretty much similar because prices are rising and inflation. Money's rising, but it's going to stay the same, isn't it? Level of adaptations where you're trying to support your family in a nice, lavish lifestyle. It's still going to be about the same sort of budget, isn't it? Really. Anyway, ladies and gents, it's Proclamation News and Gatherence. I really appreciate you guys coming through.